Hello. This is Jill Alana Nixon. I am coming to you live from my Instagram at Jill Alana Nixon. Today we are having a masterclass called 50K a month. So I'm basically going to be unraveling and decoding the shifts that I made in my life, in my energy, in my business, in order to scale to multiple 50K months. I'm going to tell you the story. And firstly, I'm just gonna say, this is edgy for me. This is such an edge because the first time I hit 50K, I did not tell anybody. And one of the pieces of shame is it can only live in secrecy. So in my family, we didn't talk about money. Growing up, I had no idea how much a doctor made versus a lawyer versus somebody who worked at McDonald's. Literally zero idea. In fact, I didn't even know this when I graduated high school. I had a bit better of an idea, but not really, because we didn't talk about money. And so I'm sharing this masterclass for many reasons. It will be available for a limited time. So hopefully you have time to watch the whole thing. It's gonna be in the Soul Speaks free series on my Facebook group that will be open until February 17th. So when we start the Lunar New Year, it's gonna close. So listen to it. If you're in Soul-Led Life, you will have this as a bonus for all the times for the duration of the course. So firstly, in this transmission, I'm gonna be dissolving family shame, family lineage shame of talking about money. This is one of the traps where they keep people ignorant from knowing how it actually works. Because if we can't talk about it, we can't learn about it, we can't shift it, we can't change it. So one of my intentions is to help people who are purely intended, kind-hearted humans, healers, intuitives, mothers, to magnetize, hold, and steward more wealth. And the only way I can help do this is by talking about it. Thank you, Marta. So good to see you, beautiful. She just said, Jill, you're looking so radiant. You see what you are, so I can't see you, but I'm sure you are also embodying radiance. Okay, so and these are usually the people that pushed away because they are indoctrinated into a system that says it's bad, it's evil, don't talk about it. Everybody wants more of it because it's just resources, it's energy, but we say we don't. We don't care about it, blah, blah, blah. And then we live in suffering. And I'm going to talk about my journey with this. And it's just not true. So we need to open this conversation. This masterclass isn't just about money. It's not about money for a metric or to justify your self-worth or to validate your self-worth or lack of it. That is not the intention of this masterclass. And all of that is illusion. So it's about freedom. This conversation is about freedom, true freedom, sovereignty, being able to have the power of choice, live in high frequencies, and for money to be a resource to support your soul path, your mission, your lifestyle. And if you're like, why is she looking over here? Because I made notes. I rarely make notes, but we would be here for 8 hours if I didn't. So, because I'll go on riffs. So my intention is to activate and inspire you into your prosperity because believe me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Hi, Kathy. It's good to see you. Okay, where did we start in my money journey? I grew up in a family who built everything themselves and they did very well, but we didn't talk about money. I had certain traumas that my brothers didn't have, which brought me into deep scarcity. So I watched my brother make a lot of money in their own ways with their gifts. And I was really pissed off because my middle brother did not do very well in school. And I did so well in school. Hello, Emily. I did so well in school. And I was like, what the actual F? How is he creating this level of wealth? And the system and people in the system were telling him he's stupid blah, 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 because he thought big and then he acted on it, acted as the version of himself who had already created multiple seven figures a year. And then I realized he knew what was up because he grew up around a lot of wealth and he embodied the codes, and now he's killing it. And so I took these specific moments that were imprinted into my energy, into my subconscious, thinking money's bad, I'm bad if I'm in any sort of overflow, worked my butt off, was hustling at 4 jobs, could barely afford rent. I was living in a solarium at the time, actually 2 solariums. And then I also lived in a den in Vancouver. If you're like, what's a solarium? It's basically a closet, okay? So it's smaller than my closet growing up. And I was happy. I actually didn't feel like I needed more. Although at the time I was living off rice, beans. I don't even like rice or beans. I think they're quite disgusting and I will probably never eat them again. Rice, beans, because they were cheap, bananas, peanut butter, and sometimes protein bars. And I was so sick. I ended up getting very, very ill. And basically I was starving myself, not because I wanted to be skinnier. I actually thought I looked disgusting. And I look back at old pictures and I was like, oh my God, I was so sick. But because I didn't feel worthy. I thought I had read this book that is great for investing in the stock market and awful for money codes. What I mean by that, it's called Millionaire Teacher. I actually started investing in the stock market with that protocol, which was great. And literally helped me start my business when I pulled a bunch of those investments to fund my business when I first started. But this dude lived off granola bars for years. Like he would have granola bars for dinner and basically invested all of the money that came in. And so I was like, oh, let me just do the same thing and live off rice and beans and live off $25 to $30 of groceries a week. Like I literally spend more than that a day on food now. But it was deeply rooted in, I don't deserve this. I need to save up and hoard. And like, once I retire, don't even believe in retirement anymore. Another conversation. Once I retire, and if you're like, I just need to do this till I retire, build a life you don't need to retire from. Soul-led life is your blueprint. It's my 6-month course. It's a journey. It's basically a mastermind at the energy exchange of a course. Doors close on the 17th. Link is in bio. We'll talk more about that later. If you're living a life where you feel like you need to retire, that is not it. You are not on soul path. Sorry to say. But that was my mindset. And so I would buy the cheapest food, literally things I did not like. I would never get my nails done, my hair done. Oh my God, I would never get a massage. I would not take care of myself in any sort of capacity because that was irresponsible. That's where I came from, okay? So that book, great for, ETFs, etc. Awful for abundance codes. It was all deeply rooted in scarcity. And I can tell you now, I spend a lot more money on food. I spend a lot more money on myself. And I also make a lot more money than I used to make in a year, in a month now. So just to give you guys some perspective, this is like bringing up so much for me. This month, we're already at 40K sales and it is February 7th, which is why I didn't teach this masterclass before, because I actually so basically in my business, I worked through a lot of these deep rooted issues and I scaled my business to about 20K months. And then I started oscillating between 15K, sometimes 10 to 20 to 22. And then I had to jump to 68K sales, 55K cash. I told nobody because of shame. And then I also needed to know that I could repeat it. And so I'm teaching this now because it's not about money. It's about helping people realize they're always resourced and to follow their soul path so they can invest in other things like soul-led life or whatever you feel, private coaching, a trip somewhere. Kathy, a cruise ship. I'm saying that because you're on here. You take a lot of cruises. I love that. So, there were specific things from going to the 20K. I had to deal with like my deep-rooted unworthiness issues in order to scale to 20K. Then when I made this big jump, these codes are the ones I'm going to share with you. The other ones are core trauma healing, which I do in all of my courses. I do this privately. I have no private mentorship client spots open right now, but I do have packages that are 3 sessions, which are shift people's lives. I've heard people have like shifted, clients have said they've shifted in those packages more than any other mentorship, any other program. And these are people who have spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on coaching, because it's the somatic work, and that's the key. Okay, so basically most people are trying to like change their 3D by the 3D actions. By, oh, I'm just gonna do this strategy. All the strategies work, and none of them work if you are not an energetic match. It's like a computer system. So my brother's a computer scientist, one of my brothers. And when he codes things on the computer, he doesn't try and fix the hologram on the computer and hit the computer if it's not working. He goes into the code, shifts the code, our energetic architecture that produces the X amount a month or this number of provision. We need to go into the coding system. So that's what I did. I'm going to give you specific tangible things that I did to scale from the 20 to 50 and beyond. So, okay. I went into my computer system, but first I anchored to what I wanted, how that felt, and why it was good for me to have it, why it was good for me, for my family, for my clients, for my community, and for all involved, even people I don't know. Okay, so it was kind of interesting because I set an intention to hit 44K months, probably, 3 months before I hit 55K in cash, I set the intention for 44K. And I didn't get it, and I didn't get it, and I didn't get it. This is where most people stop. Oh, it didn't work. No, we got to get out of this mindset firstly. It didn't work, so keep going. Learn from your lessons. We don't learn when everything works. We learn when things don't work. I already knew that it was possible, but I didn't fully believe it in my body, okay? So at that point, I was investing 5K a month in my business, mostly in mentorship, coaches, high, like around masterminds around like people who were doing the thing and were way ahead of me, because I wanted to understand how they thought, how they acted, and realize that they're actually no different. So if they can do it, why can't I? Okay. So I knew I needed to recalibrate my energy to match this. And it was, as I anchored to this, all these blocks started coming up. And then I think it was like 25K, and I was like, fuck 44K, I want 55K. So I anchored to 55K, and it came in the craziest ways, guys. But anyways, as I was investing, and I actually literally didn't know how I was going to pay for these investments, and I'm not recommending people do this, but for me, it was powerful because I learned to trust myself. I already knew I wasn't available for credit card debt, and I learned to trust myself and to trust God, source, and to actually show up for my mission. And doing this month to month, and I was like, oh my God, just enough. Oh my God, just enough. Oh my God, just enough. And we'd hit the 6 figures. Like, we were in the 6 figures, but I was also basically reinvesting all the 6 figures. And there was something in my soul that knew I needed to do that, to learn that I could trust myself to call in that amount of abundance and to be around people who are already doing it. This is called coding. This is why people join country clubs. This is why people join high class gyms. This is why people join like golf courses and communities that are a big investment to join, 50 to hundreds of thousands of dollars to join, because they want to be around that energy, which is how that brother understood these codes without even understanding the woo concepts, because he grew up around that level of wealth. So he adopted it. It became safe in his nervous system. Okay, so I understood the energetics of mirror neurons and our mind and our nervous system, which is why I almost always now have a business coach or a mentor who's created things in their life that I desire to create. Not that I can't do it alone, I can. I can do it with God. And they're shortening time for me as I do with my clients because of the lessons they've learned, the frequency in which they're inhabiting. And so I understand the concept of time in the quantum realms. And I'm like, if I can invest less time, if I can invest money in this, it's going to shorten the time for me to create this. So that's what I did personally. And it paid off, but not right away. So it took the compound effect of a certain number of months in order for me to catapult. So that was one thing. Now, as I was doing this, I was increasing my capacity to steward wealth, to invest it, to receive it, to invest it, to receive it, to know exactly where it was going to go. And I used the law of focus to focus on the timeline of the reality I desired. I can't believe how many people constantly focus on everything that's not working. I'm like, if you really understood the power of your energy and the double slit experiment, which is basically whatever we focus on, that is the reality we align to. And we can do this for the positive or we can do this for the negative. If people understood this one law, their whole reality would shift. This law is how I learned to manifest way before I understood any of the other things. So focus on your reality. When I set the goal for $44,000 a month and I did not reach that, I wasn't like, oh, well, I'm just going to give up. I kept focusing on that reality, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm going to focus on 55K. And eventually I created that because I knew I needed to shift. The coding in my energy, things needed to shift. And so as I set this timeline in motion, all the things, the scarcity patterns, the fear, the shame, the guilt, all of this programming, the inverted templates came up. They blew up in my face. All these unexpected expenses started to show up, and I was like, am I doing this thing wrong? But I knew better. I knew these energetics. I'd done them at other levels, so I knew, oh, you're actually on the right path. And so it had to purge all these old paradigms, and deep healings had to occur with the feminine of receiving and the masculine energy of provision. Okay, so through all these initiations, literally my nervous system, the architecture of my energy field and body started to recalibrate to be able to receive, hold, and steward this energy. It was not comfortable. It was not comfortable. It was not comfortable. And we have to be able to go through the discomfort in order to create the next level of wealth, of health, of manifestation, of intimacy, of whatever you desire. And I understood this. So I kept aligning and going through. Then my shadow really got triggered. And I realized, oh my goodness, I have all these beliefs about people who are making this amount of wealth, are creating it, are stewarding it. So I had to look at my own shadow and my own judgments of these people and integrate these aspects of myself so that they weren't unconsciously running my reality and blocking provision. I had to look at what I thought about lazy people. I had to look at what I thought about people who just have it so easy. I had to look at what I thought about people who were posting how much they were making all over the internet. I had to look at all these shadow aspects and realize I probably didn't even know their intention, and that my judgment was a me problem, not a them problem. From there, that was like one of the most important pieces. And I actually have activations for this in multiple courses, but it's called Gold Digger Triggers, like activations and frameworks to look at these so we can integrate these parts, because anything we judge in another, we're literally pushing away in our reality. And I literally remember doing one of these activations and processes on a plane, and I landed into like so many people signing up for something, and I was like, that was magic. Anyways, another thing is I knew exactly where the money was gonna go. So many people come to me, they're like, I wanna make this much money. Okay, where's it gonna go? Oh, I don't know, I just need to make this make me feel safe. No, that's not gonna make you feel safe. Firstly, money's an amplifier. If you're already feeling unsafe in your body, it's going to amplify that unsafety. Secondly, you need to know where it's gonna go in order for it to come in. It needs a job. It needs a job. It needs to be stewarded and directed somewhere. So if you don't know where it's gonna go, you're not gonna be able to magnetize it. And so they're like, okay, well, firstly, let's work on this unsafety in your body and nervous system, get that under check, and then learn how to steward the money before it comes in. And we can do this at smaller levels, and then we can do it at bigger levels. The principles are the same. So I knew exactly where the money was gonna go. And I knew why it was gonna help me, it was gonna help others, it was on my soul path. Direction, it needs direction. One of the things was like, I wanted to fly first class to Egypt. We ended up manifesting that. I ended up manifesting that, which doesn't happen, but that I didn't pay for in cash. It literally, we got upgraded from premium economy, which does not happen, not to business class, but to first class. It was a miracle. This is the power of this work. That was one of my energy buckets. Also, the Egypt trip was probably about, it was 15K US. So like over 20K Canadian, okay? A big chunk of the money that I created that month, I had a payment for Egypt and I knew I wanted to go. And a lot of it went towards that. Also, I normalized wealth in my nervous system. As I said, I put myself in environments around coaches, groups, mentors. I hadn't joined the country club yet, but that was one of my energy buckets. And so I normalized this in my nervous system. I normalized, like when I send a 5-figure invoice now, guys, it's normal. It's not like, oh my God, yay! Or, oh, this is scary. I'm like, yeah, it's normal. And I'm grateful. That's the freaking, like, concoction. It's normal, and I'm deeply grateful. We never lose the magic and the gratitude, but we also don't get ungrounded. The moment it's normal, it's just gonna come. Marta, an energy bucket, and I talk about this in Surrendering into Abundance, which you have, so go check that out. But an energy bucket is it's like a money bucket of where the money is gonna go. It's a blueprint of where it's gonna be stewarded. So all the places it's gonna go, when I first started this and hit my 5K month, after it took me a while to hit 5K, one of my things was, I'm looking at my dog right now, I wanted a dog walker. I wanted a food delivery service. I wanted things that were gonna support my nervous system. I desired a team. So knowing where the money's gonna go. And talking about team, that's my next point. I delegated to my team. And I hired people that I had no business yet hiring, because I hired from the identity of already manifesting this level of wealth, of already stewarding and receiving this as the norm. We have to start making decisions. I had no business hiring those business coaches or mentors at that energy exchange. I had no business even hiring a dog walker at that time. I had no business hiring team. I literally invested, I think, $36,000 in team. Well, some of it was before and some of it was after this, but it was that much a year before I created that, because I knew my energy needed to be focused on what I was good at. And so I had to work through my control issues there. Which, for those of you in soul-led life, we are going to be working through you trying to control the quantum, because I'm telling you, the how is not our job. It's the what, the why, and how do we want it to feel, and God takes care of the rest. And most of you guys are blocking massive levels of abundance because of your control issues. So anyways, that'll be part of the initiation. And watch massive levels of abundance come in. So I delegated to my team to free up my energy. I closed so many energy leaks. Anybody I owed money to, any bills that were unpaid, I paid them off. I remember one of my business coaches, I was on a payment plan, and I'm like, I want to pay this off actually in full. I closed those leaks. And then I was conscious, as I shared, about what timeline I was collapsing. Anytime my consciousness went to fear, I redirected it. I felt the fear, alchemized that, and I redirected it to the timeline. I allowed things to crumble. All the things that were unaligned, that were showing and revealing themselves. Any unaligned team members, clients that dissolved in my space, most of these clients that dissolved out were, I realized, ones that extracted energy. And as I stepped into my sovereignty, they could no longer come with me until they stepped into their sovereignty. I used to just want to save people and help people at the cost of myself. And that could not work in the blueprint of this amount of wealth. It just could not. So I allowed them to fall out. And new aligned ones came in, and some of them grew with me. I've had clients that have been with me for years in programs, masterminds, private clients, that we work on different things now than when we started, but some of them won't come with you. And this can be scary if we haven't worked through our attachment wounds. And if we're not truly connected to God, to source, to ourself. If we're looking for validation out there, thinking we need to perform or make people like us, none of that can come with us. So I let it crumble. I let friendships that were unaligned fall out or distance. And I created a deeper relationship with myself and with source. And again, I worked on the mastery of focus. Okay, other notes. I invest in containers, as I said, that I want to calibrate to, certain business coaches, masterminds, etc. When I invested, I didn't write this down, but this is so important. When I invested, I didn't invest to be saved. I invested as an identity shift. I'm hiring team to do X, Y, Z because that's an identity shift. And I am now holding the identity of the Jill who allows help, who is worthy of help, because I'm a child of God, not because I did something or I look a certain way or whatever. All of that's bullshit, guys. Just, oh my God, don't get me started on that rabbit hole. But because I'm a child of God and that's the reality I choose, and for no other reason. Not because I worked so hard and suffered and now I deserve it. That's the paradigm many people get into with retirement. Let me just work so hard. This is what I had when I read that book. Until I retire one day and then I can enjoy life. But now your baseline is suffering and you will not enjoy life. You will just suffer even if you're in the most magical place in the world. Which is what I talked about when I went on that vacation to Argentina. I'm like, dang, I want to ride more and I want to travel more. And I want to spend more time with family. And I'm actually going to reorganize my whole business and life around what I desire. And boom, 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 boom. Things start to shift. We don't design our life around the amount of money we're making. We don't choose our lifestyle based on that. We don't design our business around, we don't design our life around our business. We design our business around our life. We anchor to the amount of money we want to receive and we need to live in the lifestyle we choose and desire. That is at a high frequency because our bodies are sacred and they're vessels, and we choose that frequency because we choose it. The power is in the decision, which literally means cutting off all their timelines. And then life starts to reorganize around that. As I chose that timeline, my life started to reorganize around that. Okay? Then, increased my capacity, stretched it, compounded my frequency, and allowed the threads of fear to dissolve. What I mean by this is when I was investing month by month, not knowing how I was going to pay for my coaches, mentors, team at that time, there was a lot of fear that was coming up. And I had to alchemize that fear and sit with that fear and literally come closer to God and allow God to help me dissolve those threads of fear that are just an illusion. And then I realized by divine design that I'm always taken care of. And that if I choose a certain reality, everything starts to work around that, because God can only do for us what he can do through us. And I also really looked at how most people weren't following their soul because they were afraid they didn't have the resources, or the resources wouldn't be provided for, which is completely backwards, because once you choose that reality, that timeline, and I have so many stories around this from myself, from clients, of the money just showing up after they made the decision. Well, it's not showing up, or if it shows up, I'll do that thing. I'll join that course. I'll join Soul Led Life. If it shows up, I'm like, babe, you have it backwards. You choose and decide, and then the resources show up. I mean, if you haven't heard my stories of acting checks coming years later for the exact amount I needed to go do an energy healing training or whatever my soul was calling me to do, then please go listen to my podcast, the Prosperity Portal podcast. But the fact of the matter is the choice comes first. The choice comes first. And it's actually a decision, because there's multiple choice points, but when we decide, everything else gets cut off. We have to be 10 toes in. Same thing with healing. Once you decide and you get your subconscious on board that it's good for you to heal, that you're not going to lose love or attention or validation, if you heal, then it starts to come. The healing starts to take place. So it starts in our subconscious. And again, this is the work I do with my clients. This is the work we're going to be doing in Soul Led Life in a group vortex, which, the power of a group vortex is insane if you haven't experienced it. And I realized most people in the spiritual community are pushing away resources because they think they're holier than thou and good, and this is actually what's keeping people who are entrapped in the matrix at jobs that aren't in alignment. I'm not saying all the people are entrapped in the matrix and jobs that aren't in alignment. There's many people that are in jobs that are in alignment in that, and there's many people, their soul's calling them to something else, and they're like, I can't, or I'm just gonna go on stress leave. Let's talk about this for a second, actually. One of my best friend's partners owns a law firm, and I am boggled at the people that just, it's a different generation that we're in of people just taking stress day leaves all the time. Like, if you're in your soul path, you don't need to take those. The energy comes. I mean, I was tired this morning. I've had a big couple of months, but to do this transmission, God, source, literally gave me the energy. When we are on soul path, we don't need stress days. We learn how to hold pressure. We show up because the mission's bigger than ourselves. And so if you're like, I need to take all this time off, firstly, you'll learn more by just doing the thing than you will by taking time off. Taking time off is not going to do anything for you if you're not doing anything with that time. Secondly, where did resilience go? We need to start understanding that being in alignment with our soul doesn't mean we just sit around. It actually means the opposite. But we start to have our life merge with our business. It's like sometimes I try and not work, and then I'm like, but I have this pull, because it's not work, it's a mission, which is why I probably will never retire and never stop doing what I do. It'll shift and pivot as it always has. Anyways, resilience, it's a thing. So, and that comes with nervous system expansion, as I was talking about. So, and this is going to my next point, interestingly enough, because I didn't write any of that down in my notes. But after I allowed the fears of thread to dissolve, which for those of you who have been following my podcast, when I'm forcing a quantum leap and I could just invest a significant amount of money multiple months in a row and not know where it's coming from, it's because God always provides, and sometimes it's the exact amount. You can't make this stuff up. But I had to train my body and nervous system to hold that capacity. I had to train it. I didn't just say it's not working, or I didn't just stop showing up. I show up when I'm called to show up, and when I'm not called to show up, I don't show up. I do what my soul is calling me to do. So I showed up and did my part, and I followed my soul's pings radically when it made no sense. Without analysis, paralysis, I traveled to Florida, and then I traveled to LA and didn't sleep for 40 hours on that trip because of the travel things. Back to Florida, went here, went to Michigan, went to boom, 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 boom. On another month, my next one at 50K, same thing happened. God was like, go here. I'm like, what? I don't want to move. I don't want to go. Well, there was things I needed. There was codes I needed from certain places. There was experiences that I needed to have to be able to teach what I teach and embody what I teach. So my human didn't necessarily want to go, but my soul did. And then for right now, my soul is like, okay, land back in Vancouver, stay, don't move. Part of my ego is like, oh, I kind of want to go to the island. Oh, I kind of want to go here. Oh, and I want to go to Whistler. But my soul is like, no, ground for a bit, stay. Anchor, route, schedule. And I'm like, okay, got it. So I listen to what my soul is guiding me to do versus what my ego mind wants to do because escapism or because it might feel good for the moment. This is where we have to build our relationship. And if you don't have one yet and you want a container for this, I highly recommend Soul Led Life. Or if you want to deepen your connection with God's source, again, I highly recommend Soul Led Life, because a big part of this is me guiding you of how to actually do this. Not in theory, because I can teach all the things, but until you have the experiences, it doesn't become wisdom. So how to actualize these miracles in your life so that they are wisdom and nobody can tell you otherwise. That's why nobody can tell me God doesn't exist. That is why nobody can tell me that we don't have infinite potential to magnetize the amount of abundance that we believe is possible for us. That is why nobody can tell me that healing miracles don't exist, or addiction healing miracles don't exist. If you are struggling with addiction, I highly recommend you come to my $38 addiction healing seminar on February 28th. I used to be highly addicted to Adderall, and I have helped multiple people behind the scenes, some of the wealthiest families in Vancouver, their kids or themselves heal from addiction. We're also going to be doing a healing, it's the same healing for compulsive habits. So if you struggled with compulsive eating, I used to struggle with sugar a lot. I was highly addicted to it. There's something deeper there, that the addiction's a byproduct. So it's $38 until February 28th. It's going to go up to $88. You can buy it on my website after that. Anyways, if you want a lower ticket thing, highly recommend that. So I followed my soul. And this is the biggest thing that I continue to do over and over and over and over and over again, is I follow my soul. and the dots connect looking back. I was having a tea date, well, a mocktail date actually, with a soul sister yesterday, and I was telling her about Argentina and healing my horse allergies and how I manifested that trip and how multiple times it looked like I didn't manifest it or got taken away or XYZ. And I kept aligning. No, where is this reflection in me? How do I shift myself? Because we're the problem and we're also the solution. We are the common denominator to all the relationships that don't work in the way we desire them to work, all the friendships, all the client relationships. Just a mentor calling me out on that. This is your issue with leading, actually. Oh shit, this isn't a client issue? No, this is a you issue, right? Forgotten the common denominator. All the scarcity issues, the lack of abundance, or the overflow of abundance. We are the common denominator. We got to start taking self-responsibility. There's so many people I am very connected to God, Jesus. It took me a while to even say those words publicly. Mother Earth, the quantum divine intelligence. And sometimes I see people in certain religions and they're like, well, God just decided I needed to be poor. Like, no, he didn't. You were choosing that reality. We're going to learn our soul lessons regardless. They're contracted into our soul's blueprint. Whether you do that with provision or without provision is actually the energetic architecture in your energy field, which is the work I help clients with. Where is your energy going? You can trace this, you can track this. Where are you putting your attention? What actions are you taking? Where is your soul or God speaks through our soul, calling you to do something that you're not wanting to do because it's scary. It's supposed to be scary. That's where you grow. That's where courage is birthed. So the biggest thing that I do is I follow my soul. And sometimes it takes me in places that my ego is like pissed off about. Often it takes me into deep healing with mother wounds, father wounds, which are the energetics of money. And that's where the miracles happen. And so on my podcast, I tell the story of manifesting that trip to Argentina with my favorite actress, which, by the way, was magical. And I came back and I'm like, things are shifting, and I'm shifting things in my life to now match the blueprint that I desire and the reality that I desire. And I took radical responsibility for that. And there was actions that I had to have and conversations that I had to have that were not comfortable, but were necessary. There was boundaries I needed to hold that were not comfortable, but necessary. And so this is one of the biggest codes that honestly I think I've been doing my whole life, is following my soul against the matrix, against the programming, against what other people are telling me to do. And everybody called me crazy for it for a very long time, and a lot of people still do. Are you gonna go horseback riding? You're allergic. I'm gonna heal my allergies. Then I did that. And there was key codes for my soul's path in that. But I have ruthlessly been following my soul for so long. And when I don't, I get a lot of reflections. But this is the biggest piece. And this is, if you take anything from this transmission, I want you to take the power of following your soul. Because what's stopping you probably is you don't feel supported and resourced in doing so. But you have it backwards. As you follow your soul, the resources come. And so I hope you use my story as evidence from somebody who is probably living in the deepest scarcity, that my friends from back in the day still make fun of me for who I was. And they're like, I don't know how you shifted so much. It's the recalibration, it's the inner work. It's literally the work we're going to be doing in Soul-Led Life. Because it's not that I just wanted a 50K month or multiple 50K months for the like validation or the milestone or accolade. Like, that was cool. I didn't even tell anybody for the first couple. But it was because I wanted to do certain things in my life. I wanted sovereignty. I wanted the freedom of choice. I wanted a high frequency life. And as I refine exactly what my soul is desiring, so I can be of the highest service to myself, to my community, to my dog. He's so cute right now. He's like just sleeping over there. Anyways, then I start to align to that reality. And I start to make decisions as that version of myself. And I use quantum entanglement to collapse timelines. So if you are wanting, here's another code. 2 more codes actually. So I heal deep layers of the father wound, which is the code of provision, and the mother wound, which is receiving, is our superpower. That's where magnetism lies. And I anchored these into the divine union within myself, rooted in Mother Earth and God. And I shifted from trying to save people to mentoring clients to fish, instead of just giving them a fish. And some people who just wanted a fish and to be saved, but not actually learn how to do the things themselves and step into their leadership so that they could support others and recreate and recreate and recreate without me. Some clients fell out and other ones came in. Leaders started to come in. And God supports those who are supporting people to be liberated. He does not support those who are unconsciously entrapping people, nor manipulating people. Which is literally why, for those of you who have asked about my facilitator training, it's coming after Soul-Led Life, but Soul-Led Life is a prerequisite, because you need to be on this path in order to understand how to walk people and support people in following their path as a healer, as a facilitator. Because if you're not embodied in it, you're going to keep them trapped unconsciously because you're still trapped. And I will not take part in that. So I'm teaching you how to walk this path so you can support others and actually walking the path. And then using the somatic tools, the energy healing tools, the frequency tools, the trauma healing tools, to help them anchor that architecture within their physical body, their energy body, their subconscious mind, and their conscious mind, okay? So I've supported clients who are making hundreds of millions in shifts in their business, getting to the next level, causing greater impact, protecting their energy as they do it. And I've also helped people who are in debt shift that and get out of debt and start becoming a magnet to abundance versus a magnet to debt, because it's your energy frequency. It's your resentment to self or to others or to your past partners, parents, etc., that is causing debt. You have to shift that in the somatic body and the physical body. And so I've not just used these tools for me, but I've helped a lot of clients from both ends of the spectrum shift. And especially with all this stuff about the Epstein files, which I'm not going to get into right now, but I've been talking about this for years and years and years, and it's dark. Please don't feed your energy into it, because this is how they siphon energy, but be aware of it and do your part. And your part is actually directing your energy to your highest destiny, your highest soul path, which is listening to the path of the soul, which is what we're doing in Soul-Led Life. To actualize, like, people are like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, but this is how I'm going to explain it now. I help people make their dreams their lived reality. Create the reality of their dreams as their lived reality. Especially people who are in the spiritual world and have these amazing gifts and aren't integrating and grounding them into the 3D reality, the 3D plane, because they don't have the resources. They think that working with the resources is bad. The reason you're not resourced is because you got brainwashed that you having resources is bad to keep you weak. So let's rewrite that story so you can be abundantly resourced and living your freaking best life that your soul's wanting you to, because that's what shifts the world. By you jumping frequency bandwidths and you impacting others and you embodying the soul path of what your soul actually desires so that other people start following theirs. Okay. Whew. So we need people that have pure hearts to steward the money on this planet, the resources on this planet. Because this planet has been run by people ultimately who don't have the best intentions, which is now revealing to the public. And a lot of us have known for a while. So the more we can understand that the more resourced we are, the better it is for the planet. And as we get more resourced, we can actually do something about these situations, which I have friends that have been trafficked. So this whole thing, like when I started talking about this about 7 years ago, I got shadow banned, all the things, called crazy, people hating me. And I'm like, I literally have friends that have been through this. So, and I've seen behind the scenes of certain spiritual communities, and it is not cool. So the point here is the more resourced we can get, the more those paradigms begin to crumble. And this isn't just resourced with money. This is resourced with our energy, with our capacity. Where are you putting your attention? What reality are you collapsing into time, into this reality, by focusing on it? Because you're creating it. You have to understand that you are literally creating the whole thing. With God, yes, but you have free will. So God, again, can only do for you what he can do through you. And if you're not aligning your will to God's will, your destiny to the destiny of your soul, then you are creating a shitty reality for yourself. You are creating scarcity for yourself. You are creating suffering for yourself. And this is coming from somebody, I am so passionate about this, holy Toledo. This is coming from somebody who lived in suffering, who was deeply addicted to suffering, to sacrifice, to settling, to I'm living in a solarium and I'm fine, and I was fine with that. And I was also so sick because I was living off $30 a week of groceries until I ended up in the hospital. That was fun. So I'm saying this from somebody who is such a victim of my reality to where I am now. I understand I'm creating my whole reality, and things that I don't like in my reality, like I didn't like that I felt like I didn't belong to my family. I didn't like that I was allergic to horses. I didn't like that I would get invited on vacations and then they would be taken with other people. And I'm like, what is going on? That's on the podcast of how I manifested that trip, the horseback riding trip to my favorite actress. I didn't like these things. So I started to look at how I was creating them. And it's not to blame myself, but it's to look at how I'm co-creating this energy dynamic. I haven't posted it yet, but it's on Spotify. The story of my real spiritual awakening, part 12, we closed it up. There was so much I didn't get to, but there was so much in there. And I shared how I had to look at my shadow to realize how I had created that relationship. How I created that dynamic. This is the work that most people don't do. They just want the feel good. They want the love and light, but they don't want to look at the shadow. Well, guess what? Our shadow is the way to the light. Just like everything that's coming up about these files right now is the shadow. It's the way to the light. Unless we let it come up and look at it and do something about it, it will keep perpetuating. The same is true within us. So if we're in the middle, firstly, of a new distribution of wealth. It's happening. It is happening. Of true wealth, not of energy siphoning, of extraction, of false, of the illusion of wealth. True embodied wealth, where your energy is the creator of that. And so firstly, take the codes that resonate, because there were so many I shared, and there was more that got me from 0 to 20K a month. And if you want some of those, the Prosperity Portal membership is a good place to start. But if you are ready to walk this journey and to actualize your intention, your desire, whether that is a certain number, I hope it's not just a certain number, because that's just a metric and it's all relative, or it's I desire to live this reality because I choose this reality and I don't know how to align my energy with it. There's energy leaks. There is a lack of clarity. There is a lack of action. There's shame that needs to be alchemized. And you want to be supported by me as a mentor as I share my journey in that course, because I'm doing the course with you guys. I had an intention to create in that as one of my intentions in the 6 months. And I already manifested it as I'm like creating the course, the blueprint for it. So it's going to be a different creation, a better one. I'm going to be sharing behind the scenes and the challenges and the initiations that I go through and how I deal with those, because how I deal with setbacks, which aren't setbacks, they're lessons, and conflicts and initiations is how I can manifest everything I truly desire. It's how we deal with those that determines the outcome. And realizing that I'm creating those too. And so if you're ready to magnetize and steward wealth, and if you are a purely intended soul, which all y'all are, otherwise you wouldn't be here, and you're like, I desire to understand how to actualize in wisdom, not just knowledge, because we need embodied wisdom, how to steward energy, how to magnetize money and steward it and hold it. If you need support creating that architecture, like the computer coding in your energy field, that's where my gifts lie. I do this privately with clients. I have hundreds of testimonials, maybe thousands at this point. And Soul Led Life is a 6-month journey with an amazing group of people from all over the world. We start, I think, on the 23rd, but the doors close on the 17th. So we've actually already started some pre-work. If you want to jump in on that, I just got too excited. I couldn't wait. In the WhatsApp group, then the link is in bio. If you feel the pull, trust that. So we all need resources for a soul path, and they're actually already available. It's just that you haven't chosen, and you don't have the capacity or the energetic architecture yet to steward them, to call them in. You don't actually understand how this reality works. And so this is really so you can stop worrying about where the resources are coming, and you can actually just focus on your soul path, because that's what I do now. I don't worry anymore about where the resources are coming. I don't worry about metrics. In fact, I don't care about metrics. I decide what I want, what my soul is calling me to, and then I look at the resources I need for that, and I align to that. I focus on my mission. I focus on my frequency, on my inner world, on my energy field, on the impact that I want to create, and I work backwards from there. So Soul Led Life is what I recommend for those who are ready. If those of you who are not there yet and you want resources, the Prosperity Portal membership is a great place to start. We meet once a month live. There's so many courses on the back end, tens of thousands of dollars worth of courses. You can join for as little or as long as you want. It is $222 a month. And that's also an amazing community. We have a great WhatsApp chat for that. People supporting people with getting jobs, with travel, with lessons that they've learned, shadow work, all of it. It's amazing. So if you want a higher proximity one, Soul Led Life. If you want one-on-one, I have a 3-session package. if you're dealing with addiction, compulsive eating, of any sort. I don't just mean substance addiction, although it can be that. It could be any substance, plant medicine, which I think is an addiction for most people if you're doing it often. But anyways, that's my belief. It could be an addiction to work, man. It could be an addiction to exercise. It could be an addiction to food. It could be addiction to drugs, to alcohol. Like I said, I was highly addicted to Adderall. How do you know if you're addicted to something? You can give it up and you don't need it. But here's the thing. You can have a relationship with something. Like right now, I'm doing 90 days of zero alcohol. I also really enjoy wine. But there's a difference between me not being able to stop and me being like, yeah, I can take 3 months off. I haven't even craved it. I'm probably about a fifth of the way through. I haven't even craved it at all. So there's a difference between somebody being addicted to something. Okay, I'm fully disclosed addicted to coffee. I really desire my 1 coffee a day, and sometimes I give it up when I do my enzyme detoxes, and I definitely go in withdrawal. But that's the one addiction that I'm like, okay. But I can also stop if I need to. Like when I do those enzyme detox, I stop for 2 weeks. The point here is it's something that's hard. It's a habit that's giving you short-term, quote, fulfillment. It's covering up a deeper wound. And there's correlations there. You're actually looking for something. You're looking for love or community or belonging or God. And it's the substance or the thing is giving you a short-term false fill of that thing. If you're also struggling with porn or sex addiction or all of these things, like the addiction is a manifestation of something deeper. Then it's $38. It's on February 28th. I highly recommend coming, or if you know anybody who is struggling with it, or if you are supporting somebody who's struggling with it, you're probably doing all the things wrong and telling them that thing is bad and they have to stop. And I'm telling you, this does not work. So if you want to know how to actually support them in a way that works, because the moment you tell them to stop and that thing's bad and blah, 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 what happens is they want it more and they go into their rebellion. And if there's any like things from other realms, entities, etc., that are actually running their behavior, oh, you better bet they're gonna like cut you out of their life or distance from you or whatever, and they're gonna go into a shame spiral, and it's making it worse. If you want tools to support them that actually work, come on February 28th. It's $38, guys. It will change your life. It'll change their life. And since we're talking about money, I'm gonna say this. And no, I cannot make it any lower than that. It's gonna be $88 after the 28th. There will be a replay for those of you who can't come live or want to redo the healing and the activation. But somebody asked me if they could come for free, and I said no, because firstly, this is worth like at least high 3 figures, what we're doing on the 28th, and it's $38. If you don't have $38 that you can create in, well, 3 weeks now, 21 days, then, but you have money to invest in your addiction, like we got a serious problem here. So there needs to be some sort of skin in the game. So I told this person, no, this is the lowest I can make it. And the addiction actually was something you have to purchase. So I'm like, they need to invest that money, they asked for a friend, in their healing. Otherwise, there's no point in coming because they're not going to even apply the tools. There's a choice point when we invest. As I shared, how I got to the place of dissolving threads of fear with money was by investing significant amounts, putting myself in certain environments when I didn't have the resources, and somehow every single month I had the exact number of resources, and then we hit overflow after months and months of doing that. So take these codes and share this with anybody you feel would benefit. This will be up here until the 17th, and then it'll be put in Soul Led Life. I love you guys. And if you're interested in Soul Led Life, I don't know if I'm ever doing it again. People are like, oh, maybe I want to join, but next round. I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing it again. So join now or don't join if it doesn't feel in alignment. Please don't join if it doesn't feel in alignment. But if it does, trust that and follow your soul. The power is in the decision. Okay, love you. Mwah.